Hey, welcome to #LaidOffLife. It's your host, Jennifer Crowfoot, with her co-host,
Jigna.
Woohoo! So we're back again for episode 3, Be Kind and
Rewind.
Woohoo! Yes. So for today's session, we are going to talk about how to take care of yourself during this time when you are laid off or just maybe down in the dumps because you've been quarantined and you're working from home and your whole family, and or it could be multitudes of things. Just how to take care of yourself. So be kind to yourself and rewind, and we'll focus on that. Are you ready to meet our guests that are going to teach us about how to be kind and rewind?
Absolutely. So looking forward to David and Audie.
Perfect. Well, let's meet our guests. Well, today we're joined with David Ahern and Audie. I'm not going to say it right. Bachin. Okay, Audie Bachin. So thank you. All right.
You got it. You did it.
I got it. Perfect. And so I've known David for quite a while. And if you've never been out to 4-day weekend, if you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they're an improv troupe that are amazing. And David has done, him and some of his team have done a number of events for me as well, worked on events. And but David's kind of made a turn in what he's been doing since events aren't happening, and hence how Jigna and I made this turn into this podcast because events aren't happening. We were doing event management and learning programs that way. So I want to hear a little bit about what you're doing with what we heard is called Yes and Yoga. So if you guys could tell us a little bit how you got going on this.
You know, it's interesting because, as you said, my background is in comedy. 4-day weekend is an improvised comedy show. The entire philosophy that we use in improvisation is yes and. Well, actually, I was on a corporate event with a producer that you work with a lot, as a matter of fact, Masoom Mirzai. And we were in Miami, and he knew Audie pretty well, too. And he was asking me about, what are you guys working on right now? And I said, well, she's doing a lot of yoga and stuff like that. And he just out of the blue said, we should do a show. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, let's do a show. He goes, well, we'll get it on Amazon. And I go, what kind of show? And he goes, I don't know, let's do a yoga show. So I literally called her that afternoon and said, yeah, Masoom wants to do a show. And she goes, what kind of show? And I go, a yoga show. And she goes, what kind of yoga show would we do? And I go, I don't know, but we're doing a yoga show apparently. And we really had no plans. So we started to kind of come up with the idea, and we thought, well, what can we create that gives people tangible tools that they can use every day to help make their lives more efficient, to reduce some stress, to make life more manageable. Mm-hmm. And we just thought we'll do, maybe like a 30-minute show. And we thought, why don't we kind of combine it with part talk show, part yoga at the end, and it will be inspirational. And we really did not have
So the first part is kind of talking, we have the talk show, we do that, and then the second part is the action part, where then we do a tool, we do breath work, we do something.
Right, because as we were talking about before we actually went live on the air, so often we find that people will do the talking part mm-hmm. of personal growth, like they talk and talk about their problems, but they don't take it to the next level where you tangibly start to do certain things to actually neutralize some of the neuroses that we all have. We all have neuroses. And
we have neuroses?
We do. And there are certain things that all of us can do to maximize our greatest potential. So we were literally like 3 days out, and Masoom goes, what are we going to call this show? And I was like, I don't know.
We had all these different names, and it was like, no, that's kind of not it. That's not.
So I just go, I don't know, let's call it Yes and Yoga. We're going to combine.
He goes, I do yes and she does yoga.
So yes and
there
yoga.
There you go. Yeah.
We combine the tenets and philosophies of yes and with the ancient art of Kundalini yoga. And that's how it started.
So what exactly is yes and? And then how does that translate into yoga?
Well, okay, so when we come out to do a show, our show is completely improvised. We do not plan anything ahead. What we're doing is we're co-creating with the audience. A lot of times people always say, God, that's absolutely amazing that you guys can just create that show without any preparation. And they'll always say the same thing. You guys are so quick and you're so fast. But the truth of the matter is we're not any faster or any quicker than anybody else. What we've done is we've trained our brains to listen very well. And so what we do is we listen very well. We apply a technique called yes and. And what that is, in improvisation, we strike the word no from our vocabulary. because what we find in improv is that when you say no, you stop a scene immediately. And it's just like life. When you say no, you stop whatever progress was about to happen. It gives you, saying the word no gives you the illusion of control, meaning by saying no, you think I'm controlling a situation, but what you're giving up is possibility. Because all manifestation, everything that we manifest in our life lies in the field of yes. That's the only way inventions can come about, the only way we can grow as human beings is to start to utilize by saying yes, because once you say yes, you move into this field of the unknown where you've never been before. And so a great many people have a fear of saying yes because the minute you say yes is the very second change is going to happen. And people generally fear change, but change is the only way that we can grow. So in improvisation, it's my job to make her look good. It's her job to make me look good. And if we both make each other look good, then as a team, we look good. And since in improvisation, again, since our job is to make each other look good, there are no wrong ideas. There are no bad ideas. Every idea has merit. And the reason why we do that is it's oftentimes our own judgment that says an idea is bad. And what we're doing is we're stopping progress, where if we just train our brain to say, what if her idea is a great idea? Where does it take us? And so what we did was we combined yes and, that philosophy, with yoga. And people will say, well, how are they the same? Well, what is yoga about? Yoga is about being in the moment. So is improvisation. Yoga is about listening to your interior, what's inside your body. What is your body doing? Are you listening? And that's another thing. Do you listen? Yoga is about being flexible. So is improvisation. Improvisation is about being flexible, where I had this idea where I thought it was going to go this way, and
It's the play on flexible. How
And
flexible
she-
can you be with things?
right, and she said something that I wasn't expecting. So am I going to be flexible and adapt, or am I going to say no? And so we kind of combined these concepts and came up with yes and yoga.
Wow, I would say what a time to be flexible, right? Our whole world since March, mid-March, has been turned upside down, right? And it has been nothing but 2020 will be nothing but being flexible, I think, at this point. Like, my husband likes to make the silly joke and say, well, 2020 is just hindsight, right? So
There you go. And here's the thing is this time challenging? Yes, of course. But what it's done is it's taken us out of our comfort zone. And it's provided us, if we have the vision and the lens to see it, is new opportunity that we would have never done in the past.
Innovation.
It's allowing for innovation. So yes, the old is going away. Thank goodness for that. What does that mean? New growth is possible. And it's all about your mindset. It's all about, what am I going to do now that is different than what I did in the past? It's going to allow me to grow. So how, as opposed to me resisting this change, can I embrace it and say, thank you? Thank you for shaking me up out of my routine so that I can become my very best, highest self. And from like a personal experience, so when the show got shut down, because obviously it couldn't have large groups, and I thought, I'm left with all of this time right now. What am I going to do? And honestly, what I do when I have a lot of time is I write. And I had promised her years ago that I would write our love story of how we met.
It's a fun story.
cool.
It's so fun. And anytime people hear it, they always go, this could be a movie. They're like, it's so good. Like, it sounds fake. I'm like, I know it should be a book. So he wrote the book.
I wrote the book. In fact,
in 4 weeks.
here it is. I wrote it, and it's done.
And
It's
already
completed.
published.
in Paris.
It's called We'll Always Have Paris. That's the book. My
Always
point is that, and it was great because I work with very yes and people, and Jessica Edwards, who used to do a lot of design for 4-Day Weekend. I called her. I said, I need a book cover for this book, and she knocked it out like that. And so
everybody's got this time on their hands.
Yeah.
You can be more creative in others.
So within 5 weeks, that ended up manifesting itself. It would not have happened had this situation not come about. And from her, she came up with a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Tell the folks.
We did this accountability group with part of Yes and Yoga called Rise and Shine. And it was kind of one of those things where, you know, it was probably a couple weeks after kind of everybody staying home now. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm just not one of those people that can just back down. You know, like if there's something going on, I've got to have momentum. I still need to keep going. But I could tell I was like, I'm, you know, teaching a lot. Now we've moved online. I need to do something for me, but I feel like we need to open it up and see who else wants to do it. So I said, you know, even though I'm doing it for me, will you help me with it? I said, I can't do it all by myself.
And I said, yes, and I'll be your co-host.
Yes, and I do. This is how I'll go into things. I'll go, how yes and are you feeling right now?
He does it all the time, and I'm always like, oh, goodness.
That's what, and he calls me Lucy. We call each other Lucy and Ricky.
Aw, Lucy.
Yeah, and so he's like, Lucy, what do you have planned? I'm like, right now, or Ethel and I are going to let you know later.
Lucy will always come up with ideas. She goes, hey, is the theater available on Friday night? I'm like,
I know,
okay,
I'm like,
what?
do we have a show date going on?
What?
Okay.
Now, are you, David? Are you the Ethel, the enabler in the relationship, or are you the?
I'm Ricky.
You're Ricky.
Enabler is her mother.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the original.
And her father is Fred. Honestly.
Oh,
Her father's Fred. I am Ricky, and then there's Lucy and Ethel.
Yeah.
nice.
Going on no matter what. It's just, do we let them in yet or wait till it's already, you know, underway?
So she came up with this idea. She said, wonder if we do a 40-day accountability group where
we consciously spend 40 days really working on ourselves, and no matter what comes up, no matter what challenges, we don't quit. Like, we keep going, because that's the thing, is even within some of these practices that we do, because we did a specific meditation, specific yoga postures, breathing work, and it kind of challenges you. It challenges your neuroses. It brings about this growth. We were talking about it. You have hard days, you know, with it. And so that was kind of the idea of the group, was let's all kind of band together. And so David wrote daily emails for it. We had a text group going. Then twice a week we met in person, practiced live together, could talk about things, could talk about life, and kind of it be a conscious place to plug in to find out good things, you know, because it's like we all know where to go to find the negative news. Like, we don't even have to ask or search or try to guess where to find it. And we're like, what if for the next 40 days, this be a place where, you know, whoever wants to be a part of it can commit to growth and can kind of commit to recharging for themselves. Because even everyone that did the group, some of them are still working, some of them parents, some of them retired, younger people. It was kind of this
it was cool. There were
this eclectic group, and even across the country.
Yeah, there were people who saw Yes and Yoga on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And they would follow on Instagram, and they
just saw it out there and like, we want to do it. Yeah. We'll try.
So it was fascinating to get to see people from all over the country kind of participating in it.
And we did that April 22nd to June 1st.
Yeah.
That was kind of our 40-day span. And so.
Yeah. And so it was, and you know, the thing is that I'm a great believer it's our job to elevate the people who are around us. And, you know, every day you can choose to bring joy and compassion to the world and the people you interact with, or you can be somebody who does talk about the news and how things are bad. I mean, both choices are available, but it's like, how do you want to leave somebody? I mean, one thing we always talk about is with every step I take, I plant a pillar of light. And that means you become a light for the people around you to give them hope. And I think that so often people don't think in those terms, but it's just a simple shift of the lens. I'll tell you an interesting story that happened today. I can't believe I'm telling this story. She and I were walking. We go for a walk every single morning. And
it changed today. Today was a different day where I went by myself at first, very unlikely, and then we went for round 2. And just like, okay.
It was weird because she actually said, I'm going to go early. And I said, yeah, I'm not ready to go yet. So she left and came back. And then I said, I'm actually going to go for a walk. And she said, hey, I'll go with you. I said, great. So she goes, and which meant that our entire schedule got changed just enough that when we were walking across the street, this gentleman came towards us and he looked at us and he said, will you call 911 for me? I'm having a stroke. And I said, yeah.
Today, right before this, like about an
hour and 20 minutes ago. So I said, so we took him and I said, come on. So we walked him and we sat him down. We sat him on the ground, and I called 911.
And I started talking to him, asking questions.
Yeah. So we will stay with you until, until you're here. So we called the ambulance. We stayed on the phone, and then the ambulance and the fire truck came over, and they and they got him all taken care of, and they got him into the ambulance. And as they did, you know how sometimes you see somebody's humanity, like you just really see it. And as he was getting in, all he did was he looked up like this, and he gave a little wave, like, thank you.
Yeah.
Give me goosebumps.
And I don't want to cry. And my sunglasses like,
But the thing, and I'm a great believer in this, is it's like our job is to see the godliness in every single person that we encounter. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people probably would have walked by him because it appeared possibly like he may not have had a home.
he has no mask on. So we're even talking about that later. Like, how would people have approached him? How would people act in this day and age? And so it's like we talk about, like, we want to make sure we're always serving and we're there. And that's kind of even part of our practices. We kind of ask, what are the ways we can serve and help?
Yeah, and it is a byproduct of the practice, because I honestly do believe when you inherently go inside and you find out your own truth, your real truth, not the truth that's projected by other people or what we read, what you start to see is you see the commonality with other people that you interact with. You see that we are all one. And so we're in the midst of this time right now where it seems like there's so much separation. But to me, it's the universe's way of going, okay, we need to shake you up and show that we are all in this together.
And get us to dig deeper.
Yeah. So the idea of literally forcing us inside in a quarantine, metaphorically and literally, it forces us inside ourselves to find out, who are we? What are we? Who do we want to be?
What have we been doing in life? What doesn't serve us anymore? Where are we at? Do we want to go back to the old way? Do we want to find a new way?
So, I really tried to make a point of not feeling sorry for myself. I mean, I haven't worked in 3 or 4 months.
You're not working. You're pretty busy.
Yeah, I know.
I understand that.
You're busy during the day, but work-wise.
But I'm also a great believer that I say thank you for this opportunity, because I'm being brought somewhere that I wouldn't have gone on my own unless something much higher than me said, time to shake you up.
Yeah.
And if you could hear the people that were in this group and what it meant to everyone and for us, and kind of the experiences and the triumphs, and just the whole process of it was like, had this not happened, we wouldn't have gone through it all together. We wouldn't have made these changes. And that's where it's like, I know it's all purposeful. And so even these times, it's like you can get sad and kind of down for a while, but that's where I feel like if you've been in that space for a while, reach out, find somebody, find a friend, find something you can do to try to change your energy, change your state that you're in.
And Audie, you make a really good point around, just connecting with everyone in the world. This is probably the only time in our lifetime, and maybe even humanity's lifetime, where we are all experiencing the same exact thing. Billions of people are experiencing. This is the one time we can all relate on a one common ground. So that's a really good point. And how do you sort of build on that? And I did want to ask you guys, just specifically around the positivity portion of it and being thankful. It's tough for folks who are in this sort of situation. David, you guys sort of explained how, your business has been closed, right? You can't work. A lot of these folks that have been laid off or aren't able to work, there's a cloud of negativity or sadness around them. How do you not necessarily stay bubbly, but positive around this?
It's all through gratitude, and it's really not that hard. Like I'll give you an example. Every night before I go to bed, I say thank you for this bed I'm sleeping in. Thank you for the roof that's over my head. Thank you for the food that I was given today. Thank you for giving me the ability to walk without any pain or any infirmity as I walk through my day. Thank you for bringing her into my life. I always, every day, say thank you for allowing her to be by my side. Thank you for my kids and their health. Thank you for my own health. Thank you for her health. The moment that you get into the state of gratitude, it's impossible for negative vibrations to rise up. The more gratitude you express, the more negativity goes down. So when you're in this state of feeling down, I also strongly advise turn the TV off.
I was just about to say what you're putting your attention to, especially that can keep bringing you down. And and it's like literally every day, when you wake up, whatever you put in front of your face, you're tuning into that vibration.
You are.
So if it's the news and it's negative, you've just tuned
You've just
yourself
tuned
into
in.
negativity. And so that's where even like we consciously at night before we go to bed, when we wake up and, you basically start with a clean slate. What do you want to start with? Do you want to start yelling at your kids? Do you want to start watching the news and political things? Do you want to start doing chore, or do you want to?
Do you want to see the beauty of a tree that's right there? I mean, and the thing
kind
is
of figuring that out too is, I feel like, even part of the process during this time.
So I want to ask you a question though here. So like right now, so you're talking about what you put in, like you stop reading the news or that. So for some of the viewers out there, they might be going like, but I have to look for a job, right? And I've got to pay bills. And I will tell you, when you get online and you start looking at positions, and you can see like in LinkedIn and some of those things will say like 245 people who have applied for this position. And I'm like, okay, so, that could be like, it could be like, okay. So I try to tell myself, okay, at least I get to apply for the position. They may tell me no. So I try not to like be negative, think, oh, I won't get it. So I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna throw it out there. And right now, I mean, I'm fortunate I'm in a space where I'm not worrying about money because I have a working spouse. But some of those people out there may not, maybe both people are just depending on unemployment right now and seeing those kind of things out there. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what would be your advice for them and how they can stay positive and get through this? Because some of those folks could be having a really tough time, and we recognize that.
Oh yeah, and I don't deny the fact that the challenges come up that are,
and some people's situations are way worse than others on.
I mean, there is no question that is the thing, but I do go back to you. It can be so overwhelming when you start to think of the totality of what's going on, that the simplest way to do it is to give gratitude for something that you really are thankful for that you have. And it's oftentimes starting small. I got to drink a cappuccino before this, and I was really grateful for it. I was like, thank you that I get to drink a cappuccino. Even taking a shower, I'm like, I'm getting clean water, and I'm so blessed. It really is. There is something to be said for expressing gratitude for what you might perceive as the smallest thing in the world. And by doing that, it opens up pathways for bigger things to come to you.
My gratitude is I really like llamas.
That's I'm
very grateful for that.
It brings you joy to do that thing. Well, you and I were talking last week, or maybe a couple days ago on the phone. You said you love to run. And you said, but I know a lot of yoga people say running is bad. I said, you run. I said, if it brings you joy, absolutely do that thing. And so going back to your question,
I'll add to yours.
Going back to the thing I was saying about, when you start to get overwhelmed by there being 248 people applying for the same job, apply for the job and do the very best you can. And then you have to surrender and let it go. And then in the meantime, while that thing is percolating out there, put your attention on something that brings you joy. And I oftentimes think that when you get really down, do an act of service for somebody around you. Hold a door for them, buy them a cup of coffee, give them a flower, give them a compliment.
We even do that. Like if we're in a funk and just kind of down and kind of have that blues kind of feeling and just nothing, we're like, we don't want to go eat something, try to make us feel better, or watch something, try to make us happy, they're like, we need to serve. We need to serve. We need to go out and do something. We need to go pick up some trash outside of our place that it's no one's responsibility. It wasn't our trash, wasn't it? But like something. And it's amazing how even that energy shift.
Yeah.
And I was going to add too. So he says gratitude on it, and to couple with that on it. And so for people that are kind of experiencing day in, day out, where you say, yeah, you're applying for jobs and it's now you're 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in. I will say doing breath work, doing something consciously every day builds grit and resilience. It restores the nervous system. And so that you do even have that kind of stamina and that perseverance to see it through. And that's where even I feel like some of the stuff I have, like I'm reaping the rewards of having a practice, but I know that's the benefit of it is having even rejection, just those things. And we're talking about being flexible. And that's even yoga. Like I don't even see it as like flexibility with the body, but it's like you get your mindset flexible and you start learning how to move in life in a different way. And then even just getting, I mean, there's so many benefits of breath, but even just gets your headspace clear. So even maybe some of the ways you're maybe over trying or maybe applying in the right way, if you can kind of get your head space clear and kind of get aligned better, then you can really see the opportunities that are right for you. And then you can even be kind of open to more. And even the more you light yourself up, the more people are going to see that light and even respond to it better. And so I even think that, I think going to gratitude and breathing, which it doesn't cost anything, even just long, deep breathing. People are like, I don't know how. Sit still for 5 minutes, set a timer, and just breathe and see if you can get it slower and slower and slower. Like even if you didn't know what to do, you could start there and it'll start shifting things.
And then what these practices do is they strengthen your central nervous system.
So Adi, I just want to know a little bit about how we can do some of these breathing exercises. A lot of times it's intimidating when people ask me or tell me that, oh, you need to, it's going to help you if you do some of these exercises, and I just don't really know how to even begin. So can you just give us a little bit of a sample of that?
I totally get that, because I get when people say meditate, or sit still, and I'm like,
It's like this.
what are we doing? Yes, and then I sit there and I'm still thinking. I'm like, well, I don't think I'm accomplishing anything because I'm just thinking a lot and I'm kind of bored. Yeah. I totally get that. And it wasn't until I kind of dove into meditation that I realized there's thousands of different ways that you can meditate. And so one that I thought we could practice today is one for stress release and energy. So kind of twofold, and it's one that's going to work on your nervous system to kind of restore and, rejuvenate yourself. But as we were talking, with meditation, this one's going to be one that can give your mind something to focus on. It's going to be a breathing one in and out of the nose. And the way it's going to work, if it's going to demo, you're going to sniff through the nose in 8 equal segments. So it sounds like that, 8 times, and then 1 long exhale through the nose. And it's about for probably 4 counts through the nose. So you're going 8 in slowly, and then 1 long through the nose. And so if you were counting, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then on the exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just keep repeating and literally keep going. And you think it's just breathing. How could this change? But you're literally changing the combination. You're changing the signals that are getting sent to the brain. So especially if you're redlining, if you're not at a good point, like this is even like being in a house with kids and families. I went to the bathroom, locked the door, even like I'm gonna turn on the shower so they think I'm taking a shower, so that way I'm in there or something, and then do this, and then put on my headphones or just something, and even just set 3 minutes. 5 minutes, and you keep doing it. It will reset you. And it's one of those things too, keep applying it. Like meditation works daily. You'll feel results pretty quickly with it, but if you can do it daily, it's that thing, it's the grit. And especially being a parent, as he talked about it, it's kind of one of those things where your kids just always ask you questions and always kind of do that. So one of the biggest things I learned is from this is it kind of gives you just that resilience and that things to just let stuff just roll off, and you really feel it, because it's one of those things for people to tell you, just breathe, relax. It's like, that's a nice thought, but inside I don't feel like that at all. So how do I get there? And it's through a breath.
It's through a breath. And the other thing,
and consistency every day, right. Waking up.
And the reason why you practice every day is because there is going to come a time where you need it. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, and I'll go back to today. So when we're walking across the street and we meet that man and he says 911.
And we have places to go. We have things to do, all that. And then we have this come in.
Yeah, because I have a call with you and I have a call before that. Yeah. But what happens is then it's that at that time that you start to rely on all that practice. Mm-hmm. Because what did I do? I immediately went to my breath and literally thought, okay, he needs help. We move. We get him to the side. We sit him down.
And calmly. Just calmly.
And we're letting him know everything's going to be okay. We're going to sit with
him. Handling it, and then I'm talking there. And then even as the guy was kind of going through his thing, I've been in experiences where people keep talking to you and you don't feel, and you just want to be quiet, and so even that, I was like, I'm just going to hold space. I'm just going to hold space and just pray for him right now. He's on the phone. There's not really much more. We've said what we need to say. And so, but even from being able to be in that experience, and then 5 minutes later, come back in the house and act like everything's fine. That happens from a practice. And that's kind of what life demands of us. We're moving from this thing to that thing. And if we don't adequately take care of ourselves, even if it's incrementally, even if it's 5 minutes a day, it adds up. 30 days goes by. And if you've been doing 5 minutes each day, you will have differences. Like even people in your house will notice.
I tell people all the time, most of the time, you're not going to need it.
Yeah.
But when you need it, you're going to really need it. It's like the reason why I go to the gym and work out. Most of the time, I'm not going to have to really be able to pull myself up because that just doesn't happen very often. But if I fall off a cliff and I need to grab something and pull myself,
you need strength or stamina or things like that, you can pull from that skill. And it's the same with meditation. It's one of those we view as brushing teeth now, where it's like brushing your teeth isn't really fun. Like there's not really a joy you get from it. And it's just kind of a task. And it's like, got it, wake up, do this, do that, brush teeth before you go. And it's the same with this. And so even if it's like your starting point, even if you're kind of like, I don't really know what to do, even 3 minutes of that breathing, even just add that into your routine before. And even if you're not leaving the house, because some of us still aren't, do it before even leaving that room, even starting the day with your family. It can change the tone.
And back to, okay, so the people who are looking for a job and 248 people have applied, watch the inspiration that falls in sometimes when you're in the middle of a breathing exercise and your intuition fires off. Hey, call so-and-so from a long time ago, because just check back in with them and you call so-and-so and they go, you're not going to believe this, I have a job. There is,
or you're thinking about somebody and they message you later that day, or you get this idea to then, I'm going to look on this website and then I want to go on this Facebook group that I never go into. And that's divine.
It's divine.
And you hear it from being quiet.
You do. Because what these things do is they really do activate, tell them the big three right here.
Your pineal gland, pituitary, and hypothalamus.
And that's your intuition.
They consider it too the Holy Trinity, that when those three are really communicating and talking well, and that happens through breathing or through yoga, that you can really guide yourself better in life.
So I'm reading, I told her this just the other day. I started reading about Tesla, Nikola Tesla. And I have no idea why I began reading about him, but I did. I started studying a little bit about him. And it was because I had this theory, how did he come up with all these inventions 100 years before they actually came true? So as I read about him, he would say quite openly, he was a big, he followed Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, and he did these practices. And he would say, none of these were my ideas. They would just drop into my head. And so many, many yogis believe everything is in the zeitgeist. All the information is available. It's
all ideas, all creation, and it's out there. It's just whether you kind of like pulling
do you
and tapping
tune into
that.
Do you tune in? And so what this does is it brings you internally, it gets you in your breath, and you start to tune in. And that's what they're talking about when they're talking about tuning in. You're tuning into the group consciousness and also all the knowledge of the universe. And that's how those little pieces of information come that say, go ahead and call so-and-so. And you start to follow those, and what you find is your intuition is far more effective than your intellect. Because it's...
When you say that, like I think about like after I go for a run or go work out even at Orange Theory, like I have my best ideas. I get back in the car and I'm like, so I've learned I had like from Orange Theory, I have to keep like a tablet so then I can write it down where I remember it. Or when I come back in from a run, like that's like the first thing I like start to go write it down because I'll come up with some really crazy ideas. I've actually too like taken my phone and started recording while I'm running and people are like, what is she doing? And I'm talking to myself like, okay, this is what I should do when I get back. And
yeah, you're in that flow.
Not only that, you're tiring your mind out and you're literally kind of letting go. And that's when the inspiration comes. It's amazing how it works. That's why working out is great. That's why that's also another central component.
It's about sort of building your muscle memory in a sense, right? Like when you're saying just the repetition and stuff, it kind of reminds me of Karate Kid and Daniel-san, right? Wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
And he didn't, by the way, he didn't know he was learning the lesson.
No.
He didn't know. And that's what great masters do is they're teaching you without, you're mad because you're waxing the car and then Danielson waxed, and now he's a karate expert. It's the same concept. Is that we get up every morning. We start every day, yoga and meditation. That's what we do. And it's not too intense. We can.
No, and that was kind of the point of the TV show, Yes and Yoga. Some of the practices at the end are 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I think the longest one's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of even the idea is whenever he said, we're going to do a TV show within yoga, you could share so much. And so even in my mindset, I was like, okay, if I'm going to be reaching people at home that will probably never go to a yoga studio, and then it's on Amazon Prime, so if you have that, it's even free, so I'm like, what could I present to people that could give them the most help in the shortest amount of time? And so that's kind of what each episode has, is these like potent little practices at the end to even jumpstart it, because one even helps with creativity, to even kind of get that flourishing. Another kind of balances and centers your own energy. They kind of all do different things.
Yeah. And so this time that we found is challenging. Think how beautiful it is. You two are doing this show because of it. You would not have done this without it.
Absolutely. That's the big, that's what I've been reflecting on lately is we launched just recently, and we're starting to get a lot of feedback. Majority of it's great, and people say that it's something that's needed in this day and age. And there have been some folks that have made some presumptions about us, whether we really have legitimacy, and some of those things kind of really weigh our minds down a little bit, for me at least, because we want to do the right thing, right? So, having those types of things, negativity or ideas around you, and not just me. This is a simple show, right? It's not going to be a big impact, or it's not going to be. Let me see if I want to make sure I say this correctly.
I can change your mind. It's going to be a huge impact.
It's going to be a huge impact, yeah. But if it wasn't here, it's not going to harm or help in a sense. It's just not going to be there. But I also, when Jennifer and I started this is sort of the way we were going to do our act of kindness. This is our way of being kind and rewinding to our best selves, and what do we do best, and how can we in turn help others. And it kind of reminded me of your secret blue butterfly, and it's such a tongue twister, no offense, but it's such a great it's a great way to approach the world. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and real quick, can you provide a little bit of insight on what that is, and then we'll go into it a little bit more of why I want to talk about it.
Yes, absolutely. Before I do, I want to say one thing. The people, if anybody says anything negative about you, or that they're talking about themselves and not about you, just never forget that. They're saying they don't feel they can do it, so therefore you shouldn't. So I wouldn't worry too much about the negative people. But shifting to Secret Blue Butterfly, here's what happened. Do you want to hear a little bit of the background on how the story started?
Absolutely.
I was on a bike ride with my kids one day, and they were young kids, and we were riding, and we came upon, on the sidewalk, this beautiful chalk written thing that said, "Kindness is a language the deaf can hear and the blind can see." And it was beautiful. Somebody did a beautiful job. My daughter stopped and said, "Wow, look at this. Look what somebody did. Isn't that cool?" And I said, "Yeah, that's awesome." She goes, "Who do you think it is?" And I go, "I have no idea." And she goes, "That is so awesome." I go, "Isn't it cool though how this person did this beautiful art and literally made our day brighter?" I go, "Wonder if we did that." I go, "Wonder if we did one kind act a day for somebody and just see what the ripple effect was." And she goes, "Oh, I like that." They both like, "I like that." I go, "What we call it?" And I go, "We were just in Costa Rica and we all like the blue butterfly. I wonder if we call it blue butterfly." And then my son said, "Oh, like how there's a secret Santa? I wonder if we called it secret blue butterfly, because it's a secret act of kindness and we never tell anybody what it is." And so I thought, this is really good. So I went home that day from the bike ride, and I called someone who works with us at the show, and I said, "Can you set up a website called Secret Blue Butterfly? We need to get some butterflies made, and we're going to do this kindness thing, and every time we do a kind act, we're going to leave a butterfly, and give people the option of writing in to get their own butterflies." And I said, if we can get Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, we'll get all the accounts and let us see what happens. And so that happened. within like a week and a half, this thing gets launched. And before we knew it, it was in 70 countries.
Mhm.
People were writing in to get butterflies. I mean, she and I would literally stay up handwriting envelopes.
We used to mail them all out until it got into this coupon mailers thing of like this free thing. And so then it was thousands.
Tens of thousands of people writing in to get
and
these.
we were just hand doing these, and it was like, we hit this point, we can't keep mailing.
We couldn't do it, but
It's like, we'll put them all online.
so what would happen is people would write in and they would leave pictures of their kind act.
And that was the point too, was to showcase, like, through the social media, you know, and some people would even say, well, why are you taking pictures of a kind act? Shouldn't it just be anonymous? And you know, we even talked about, like, look at the news, there's so much negativity. Wouldn't it be nice to see somebody, like, even if you knew who did it, I would love to know that my friends are doing nice things like that. I don't even have a thing around that.
No.
It's just good to see people doing good things.
And she's right, because we celebrate violence. We
Mhm.
celebrate all these
If
other
you've done
things.
something bad, we know your name, you know,
Yeah.
we know that. And it's like, why can't we celebrate you if you're doing good things out in
You
the world?
sounded
And
like
so
Santa Claus there. If we know you've done something bad.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. But so we are actually started saying, no, why wouldn't we celebrate kindness? There's
So we said, send your pictures, take them, send them in, because maybe you'll inspire someone
somebody
else.
else to do
And
it.
that's been the neat thing, is to see everyone get creative. Like, someone even redid their next door neighbor's front flower bed, you know, and they know their neighbor, but they're like, I know they couldn't do it. And they just put the butterfly there, you know, and it's just sweet, very thoughtful things. You know, other people buy somebody in the line behind them the drink, you know, that kind of pay it forward. We've even went to, like, Dollar General. I was a single teen mom, and so I'll get $10 put on the back of a $10 diaper, you know, and put just kind of formula, put money on those where I'm like, parents need help, you know, and especially low income place. I'm like, wherever you can kind of find a way to give and do something.
Yeah.
So David and Audi, thank you so much for joining us today here at the hashtag LaidOffLife. I think we all learned, I learned some new things, some new breathing techniques that Jigna told me to call it the wax on, wax off. We're going to remember that now. And so we're going to try to practice some of those things. And I really appreciate the positive energy I think you even brought to the show today, and for both Jigna and I, and realizing that this is a good thing. We're excited, and we're excited for you guys too. So I may be in my room later watching Amazon Prime. I don't know, and with the Yes and Yoga. And then my dog is going to be looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, the dog's going to get in my face. And
Your husband's going to be thinking, what are you doing?
so appreciate it. And just, you guys have any closing words you want to give us today for our listeners?
You know, here's what my closing words are. I hope your show becomes an enormous success, so much so that you don't even go back to your old traditional life, that this is just your new life. And that without all this stuff happening, this would have never been born. I think it's going to be an amazing show. I can't wait.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, now we've come to the end of our show time. So that means if you've been watching us, you know what time that is, right? Who knows? Fortune cookie time. So let's see what this week's fortune is.
Ooh, this is a good one.
All right.
You ready for this one?
I am ready for it.
Now this is, I'm not sure who's going to make this possible, but
A romantic evening awaits you tonight. Ooh. It says, answer just what your heart prompts you. Can you see that? I can't get it from there. Can you see that?
answer just what your heart prompts you. What does that mean?
I don't know. I feel like I need to do
just
my
follow your heart. Is that just
well, I
another
think
way of
after
saying?
talking with David and Audie, like it's like the breathing and the things that bring in. So I think
Yes.
my intuition are going to prompt me to do something and follow that. So I'm
See,
feeling-
it's a be kind, rewind it thing, right? Just be kind and follow your heart.
yeah. So
And
we'll
be
see.
kind and have a romantic evening. So,
Yeah. Well, you never know.
never know.
Well, thanks so much, Jigna. As a pleasure always for us to get together and talk about our hashtag LaidOffLife. And we will see you guys on our next episode.
And what's the next one? The most I've worked between 9 to 5. And what's that all about?
I'm gonna guess
it's the time to try to find a job and how much time it takes to find a job versus having a job.
Yeah, an amazing speaker on our next session as well. His name is Fred Harris, and he actually has recently been a victim of the downturn as well. So we'll talk to him.
No victims. As David Ahern
No victim. That's a good point. He has been impacted. How's that? Is that a better word?
Yes.
Impacted by the economic changes of our
and
time.
he has opportunities to come about for him.